The sea rose like a wall around the ship, and Jonah stood under the black sky, knowing the storm was not random. Sailors shouted over the wind, ropes snapped, and waves hammered the deck. Only a short time before, Jonah had lived as a prophet in Israel. Then the word of the Lord came to him with a task he did not want. Go to Nineveh and warn that violent city. Nineveh was feared for its cruelty, and Jonah did not want mercy to reach its streets. So he turned away from the road east and walked down toward Joppa, searching for a ship sailing west. At the harbor, traders loaded cargo beneath gulls and sun. Jonah paid the fare for Tarshish, stepped aboard, and let the coastline of Israel drift behind him, as if distance could silence responsibility. But the Lord sent a great wind upon the sea. The calm water twisted into a violent storm, and the ship groaned as if it might split apart beneath the sailors' feet. The sailors cried out to their gods and hurled cargo overboard to lighten the ship. While they fought for life above, Jonah had gone below deck and fallen into a heavy sleep. The captain found him in the dim hold and shook him awake. Around them, barrels rolled and beams creaked. The captain demanded that Jonah rise and call upon his God. On deck, the sailors cast lots to learn whose guilt had brought such danger. The lot fell on Jonah. Faces turned toward him, wet with rain and fear, waiting for the truth. Jonah told them he was a Hebrew, a servant of the Lord, who made the sea and the dry land. Then he admitted he was fleeing from the presence of the Lord. The sailors were terrified. The storm kept growing, and they asked what must be done. Jonah looked at the raging water and told them to throw him into the sea. The men did not want to do it. They rowed hard for land, backs straining against the oars. But the waves drove them farther out, and the ship bucked beneath them. At last, with fear and sorrow, the sailors lifted Jonah and cast him overboard. The moment he disappeared beneath the waves, the sea began to calm under the dark clouds. Jonah sank into the deep. Water closed over him, seaweed drifted around him, and the light above grew faint. Yet even there, mercy was moving toward him. The Lord appointed a great fish to swallow Jonah. In the belly of the fish, hidden from the storm and the sky, Jonah remained 3 days and 3 nights. In that living darkness, Jonah prayed. He remembered how low he had fallen, how the waters had surrounded him, and how the Lord had heard him from the depths. Jonah did not escape by strength. He was preserved by mercy. The fish carried him through the sea until, at the Lord's command, it brought him back toward land. Then the great fish released Jonah onto the shore. He lay on the sand beneath the morning light, soaked and trembling, alive, because God had given him another chance. The word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. Go to Nineveh and proclaim the warning. This time Jonah rose, turned east, and walked toward the city he had tried to avoid. Nineveh was vast, crowded, and proud. Jonah entered through its gates and walked its streets with dust on his robe, warning that the city stood under God's judgment. The people of Nineveh believed the warning. Rich and poor humbled themselves, fasted, and turned from evil. The king rose from his throne, removed his royal robe, and sat in ashes. When God saw their turning, he showed mercy and did not bring the destruction Jonah had announced. A city Jonah expected to fall was instead given room to live. Jonah was angry. He went outside the city, built a small shelter, and sat beneath the harsh sun watching Nineveh as if he still hoped judgment would come. The Lord appointed a plant to grow over Jonah and shade his head. For one day, Jonah was glad for its leaves. The next morning, the plant withered, and the sun beat down again. Jonah mourned the plant, but the Lord used that small grief to reveal a greater mercy. Jonah had cared for a plant he did not grow, while God cared for a city full of people. The story ends with Jonah under the sun and Nineveh spared by compassion. He could not outrun his responsibility, and he could not outrun the mercy of God. Responsibility had followed Jonah across roads, waves, depths, and city walls. Every place he ran became another place where God could meet him and turn him back toward the task. Mercy had also traveled farther than Jonah wanted it to go. It reached frightened sailors, a fleeing prophet, and a humbled city, proving that God's compassion is wider than human anger.